What am I to do?
Welcome to He Said, She Said Razor Branding Podcast with Michael Russo and Jackie Russo. To learn more about how to improve your brand, visit brandRUSSO.com.
Michael, our guest today, Lisa Kilwin with Midwest Machining, she's a delight. She is an easy laugh, which makes her one of my favorite people. And man, is she smart.
I mean, she was no sunshine, but
That's so unfair.
I know that's in reference to a guest we had 2 weeks ago, and her name was Sunshine. I thought, what a great name, because when you walk in a room, it's like, "Hi, I'm Sunshine." Like, you can't help but smile, right? Anyway, but Lisa was just as delightful, and definitely enjoyed talking with her. And I think from different aspects, she's from a founder, owner, operator, and marketer, kind of all in one, and the challenge that come with that, and dealing with a really sizable company that's grown over the years. And
Yes.
it was just really interesting to kind of pick her brain and hear how she's doing things right, even though she may not know she is.
Right.
She's like, I don't really, we're not really emotional. And she starts talking about all the emotional things that they do, like with their marketing, with their just who they are,
Right.
and how they talk about themselves. And so I thought that was really good.
No, it's awesome. And, to see what she and her husband have built, first of all, I just want to go hang out with them. But they've built a community and a business that is really serving a need, and they're doing it the right way. So the whole conversation was awesome. And I hope y'all stick around and listen to it because she is delightful.
What am I to do when the day is through?
Lisa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm excited to have you here. We had such a great chat earlier, and so I'm excited to kind of expand upon that. But maybe we start with you telling the people who you are and what Midwest Machining Solutions does.
Okay. My name is Lisa Kilwin, and my husband and I started Midwest Machining Solutions almost 25 years ago in our little 2-car garage. And took our savings, bought a little bit of auction equipment and threw it into our garage and hoped our neighbors didn't hear all the commotion going on. And then we grew from there. So little by little, we've had nice, steady growth every year. We are a full service machining and fabrication company. That means we do everything. We're not a production shop. So onesie twosies, we do a lot of custom work. We do a lot of repair work, and a little bit of anything and everything, all industries. So we run the gamut. So it's very, very exciting, always changing, always different, but always busy, which is wonderful.
Right.
So.
How do you and your husband divide and conquer? We all laughed a little bit before we started the show because your story is so similar to our story, or ours is so similar to yours.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know we have really clear lines because of the nature of our talents and for the health of our relationship. So how do y'all do it?
We have very clear lines as well. He is more the shop floor, the customers, the day-to-day, working with all the employees on the floor and moving everything that goes through the shop, as well as, other individuals. But for me, I'm more the business side. I'm the little heavier hand sometimes. Mm-hmm. I'm the bad guy when I need to, when somebody needs a bad guy. Mm-hmm. I'm human resources. I'm getting the resources that we need when it comes to people, equipment, those kind of things. Right. So building things up. He's more the, moving the day-to-day stuff through the shop. So so very clear. For us, we fell into those roles very easily. So
right. And I'm sure it's been smooth. I mean, never a crossword, never a disagreement.
No. I told him, I said, had we only been married 5 years, this would have never worked. But we had been married over 10 by that time. So we had worked through some of those issues. So there is definitely that life and work balance where you have to have your roles at work, your business roles, your roles at home as well. So having those, so I don't feel like I'm working 24/7. So
correct.
That's
You
that's
don't
tough. That's
go
tough.
home and talk
It
about it
is.
at the dinner table because we get caught doing that all the
Oh,
time.
all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
all the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, our kids could probably tell you more about our business than we even know.
Yeah.
And they had a lifetime of it, and now they're like, I don't want anything to do with it. As soon as it comes up, it's like they stop. Moving on, moving on.
Yeah. Well, we have our son is here now.
So is
So,
ours. So I'm curious what Michael's thinking. It's not all of them. One of them actually works here.
yeah, and it adds an interesting dynamic, and he as well had to fall into his role, and understand that I have to take off one hat when I'm talking to you and put on another, and these are our business roles at work, and these are our roles at home. So it takes a little time to adjust to that, but for him, it's a good thing bringing him in and showing him more in depth of what we do on a day-to-day basis and what goes on. And it's probably not as easy as he always thought it was. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep. No, our son was the same way. He went to school in Mississippi at a school called Millsaps and got his master's there, went to Nashville, was working in our related industry for another agency there. And Jackie kind of wooed him back, basically made him an offer and said, "Look, we need this role, and we'll see what
mhm.
goes from there." And I think it's been eye opening for him just to kind of see the actual grind of it all. And it's because I think especially in the marketing advertising world, people have an idea what that looks like, and then once they get in the middle of it, it's a little different. And so
Right,
there's some adjustment to that.
right, right. Yeah, he plays a very pivotal role here, and we've tried to introduce him to every aspect of this shop, whether he started off sweeping the floors, doing shipping, receiving, all the roles that play a part in this shop and work together. And I think he's really whether or not he sees the value in everything he's been exposed to. I'm not sure. He's still pretty young, but I do think he has learned quite a bit since he's been here. So it's very beneficial for him to see, a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and what goes on day to day, more so than others are exposed to, I guess. But
Yeah. It's
yeah,
eye-opening. It really is. And I
yeah,
think that to hear it is nothing like actually experiencing it and the
right,
pressure of it and then the added pressure because it's family. So,
right,
you can't get out of it.
right,
It's going to
right,
follow you home for Thanksgiving and Christmas as well.
I am.
right,
I'm watching your website on this other screen over here.
yeah.
Y'all have some legit stuff going on there.
It's
I mean, it's
impressive. I
big
told you.
equipment and like it's y'all aren't just got a welding torch out. You're like doing stuff, big stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it runs the gamut. Like I said, we do real little precision stuff to, big giant stuff. And there is a lot of things that we just are not able to put on our website and show just because of confidentiality
Hmm.
and some of the things being made. But and we work with, Fortune 500 companies down to little small individual, companies around in the area, or a lot of local stuff. So yeah, it's always very interesting for us. And that's what a lot of us here we love to get into, oh, this is cool. What does it do? What are you applying it to? What are you using it in? And it's always, manufacturing is just, to me, I find it interesting. So.
Is it
Right.
that people coming to you with, hey, I have an idea and I want to help me figure it out, or are they coming to you with like, hey, look, I need this produced. Can you do it?
Kind of a little bit of both. We have some of our larger customers will come to us sometimes with a big R&D project that says, hey, we want to build this machine. Some are manufacturing plants that go, we need a fix for this. Our product's not getting through the way it should. We're talking Procter and Gamble, Nestle Purina, different places like that deal with that kind of thing. Then sometimes you have a drawing on a napkin. Sometimes you have companies that are coming to you and saying, hey, I can't get this made anywhere anymore. It's not like I can just pull order it off Amazon. I need this made because I can't get it anywhere, and I want this machine to continue running. And so we're able to reproduce those parts, anything metal, I mean, there's so many moving parts in so many different industries. And, it's all going through my head with the different earth moving equipment. Like I said, manufacturing plants, of course, Procter and Gamble, when they're making your dishwashing pods, when they are, producing all of that, that takes equipment, metal equipment that's moving all the time. Things break, or they need to create a new line, so there's a whole host of things that entails. So
It's crazy.
well,
It's just amazing to me how complex these industries are. And so, kind of switching us into the marketing side of it, how do you market that? You've got confidentiality. You can't show client names. You can't show project names. You have such a specific, nuanced work that you do, and an industry that has historically relied on word of mouth and referrals, and a new era when those things are hard to come by. So how do you evolve?
Well, and I think for us over the years, it's always been, hey, we built our reputation, word of mouth is out there. Then COVID hits. And that has given us nice, steady growth all that way. So for us, that focus didn't necessarily need to be, hey, what are we doing to market? We're busy. Right. We're working. We're growing. Fantastic. Then COVID hits. Well, your little organic, reputation and word of mouth isn't so good anymore because people aren't face to face as much, and they aren't out there talking and mingling and mixing. So for us, I feel like it kind of plateaued to a certain extent, where it's like, okay, wait a minute, what are we doing differently, or what are we not doing? And I think typically manufacturing has always been those, here's our website, and our website's just basically showing you what we do, what our capabilities are, and just giving you the information you need if you're looking for that solution. But now that's, of course, changing, and it's more the videos, the different use. And now it's color. Now it's videos. Now it's pretty pictures. Now it's, so now it's not so much, here's what we can do. Here's the equipment we have. And you can either rule us out or use us. Now it's like, here's what we can do for you. Here's our skill set. Here's, you can entrust us with your project, with your part. So it is different for us, whereas years ago, that growth is nice and steady, and that's worked for us for so many years. But you have to really look at the changing times, and are you keeping up? And, I feel like our focus has not always been, of course, marketing.
Right.
It's been in the trenches. It's been doing the day-to-day. And do we want to carve out this giant chunk of something to focus on that, when I want to put my resources towards equipment, people, materials? And so for me, typically, carving things out little by little has worked over the years. We're like, okay, let's take this little chunk off right here, and let's kind of do some updates on the website. Let's take this little chunk here, and instead of plunking down, because we're not that big giant company that says we have this budget set aside, let's have the marketing department focus on this. We just don't have that.
Right.
We're wearing many hats. We're sharing many jobs and many responsibilities. So carving out that time is a big issue as well.
Well, you mentioned your website, for example. Like, do you have a background? Like, is it basically, an SEO plan or something that's going on to use the website as a tool, as a marketing tool or a sales tool, as a funnel even, where you're able to get leads and attract them to you versus having to go out and find them yourself?
Google Analytics. That's, I mean, and recently we've only just started using some of those analytics just recently, and I kind of feel like, just based on my experience, I kind of feel like people, marketers come knock on your door. And, look, I don't have a marketing background, so I don't really know what to ask. And when they come to you and they say, hey, we can help you with this. Okay, great. And then some of them look at you and go, what would you like us to do? And it's like, okay, that's not quite what I'm looking for. Because I don't know what I'd like you to do. And on my end, I'm looking for, here's what you're doing right. Here's what you're doing well. Here's what you could be doing. And here's what others around you are doing as well. So I guess typically my experience has always been someone looking at me going, what would you like? What would you like us to do for you? And little did I know that's probably not the best approach.
No, not at all.
So
no. And everybody seems to have the answer, right? I mean, that's the thing. We find that a lot too. When we take on a new project or client, usually we're dealing with the fallout from the previous experience. Like they say things don't end unless they end badly sometimes. And so you're dealing with a lot of hey, they threw this and they did this and they gave me new logos. Like, well, that's like the first thing. It's easy pickings. Hey, let me redesign or change this or change the colors, and that's not the easy part, but it's the easy part. The hard part is what you're talking about, the digging deep, understanding what competitors are doing, understanding what the marketplace looks like, understanding who your customers are, where they live, right. How do we talk to them, where do they, how do we use this new technologies that are going on? Because you can get so overwhelmed with all that. There's so many things. We keep talking about this, it keeps coming up, but the other day I was doing a podcast with someone and they asked, what's the hardest part about your job? And I said, well, the easiest part is the technology and the hardest part is the technology because it gives us, we can go faster, we can do more, we can see more, but you have all this information. And so how do you sort through it all? And Jackie talks about this too. Like we went from less than 10 years ago, we had TV, radio, print, and now we have this, which is everything. And so, and it's like we can do so many things, but which do you do? And that's where the analysis by paralysis almost comes into play, And
I think that's what is the overwhelming part of it, where, I look at it and go, okay, I don't have the time and energy that I can sit down for days on end or hours on end and sort through all this. I'm looking for that expertise. I'm looking for that person to point to it and maybe to understand, I don't have hours and hours. Come to me and show me something tangible. Show me something that we can work on together little by little. And then show me what that result is going to be. Show me what I'm going to get from that. And, let's tweak this. Yeah, we can tweak the website. Yeah, we can make your logo more colorful. Yeah. Well, what is that really going to do for me? Show me what am I going to get from that? Yeah, changing the colors, updating that. Yeah, that's all well and good, but all you're doing is, changing out, I don't wear my 80s fashion still. If I did, you'd look at me and go, a little out of date. I don't think they're really up on the latest thing, so you probably wouldn't use me. Little by little, we've moved into more up to date. Are we where we need to be? No, probably not, because as you said, things are moving and changing so quickly, and there's so much out there that it's like, I need someone to rein it in and go, let's tackle this. Let's tackle that one thing at a time. And, you're the expert. I'm not. I want to focus on my day to day. I want to focus on growing this business. So show me, give me those things that we can tackle together. But not only that, show me what I'm going to get from that. If show me what the reward is on that.
Lisa, you make such a great point. And I know that, after doing 250 episodes of this podcast, you're not the first person to mention it. It is a huge sore spot to me that so many companies in our industry turn themselves into order takers, and they think the client's turning them into it. A client can't turn you into an order taker. I can't make my doctor prescribe medicine for me that I don't need. Why would they do that? It violates the oath that they took and all the work that they did. And so when marketers don't show up with an approach, with a plan, with an opportunity to do a full body scan, head to toe analysis, workup, blood work, x-rays, and say, these are the things you're doing well with your health. These are the things where you are eating fats and have plaque and whatever else you've done to yourself. And this is how you're going to get on the road to healthy.
Right.
What are we doing? And it's the soapbox that I cannot get off of, because the industry's done it to ourselves. We don't require a certain education. We don't require a certain licensing. We don't require any kind of CLEs or ongoing certifications. And so we are, to the best of my knowledge, and I challenge people every time to correct me if I'm wrong, we're the only professional service that doesn't require something. I mean, nail technicians, hairstylists, attorney, accountants, architects, everybody else has these sets of requirements. We say, oh, you have a Mac? Well, call yourself a marketer.
And then how do I choose?
Right.
So anybody can come knocking on my door and I go, he seems like a friendly guy. She seems like I like her personality. We're
right.
Connected.
Right.
That doesn't mean that they're going to fit or be right for us. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to that we're not going to connect and I'm going to get what I need. And I think that's always been the hard part for me, is how am I picking right? How am I picking right for us? How am I making that right choice when it comes to a marketer? Because it seems like there's a lot out there, and
84,000,
and they all probably have a better skill. One has a better skill set than another. How do I don't really know that. I can go to their website. I can look at their website. But so typically for me, when I look at it and go, you're asking me to pay how much? That's a lot of money that I'm going to hand you, and I'm going to hope that I'm going to get the results I want or need. And so I guess for us, making that more organic choice was always the safe choice. And when you do it kind of in a piecemeal where you go, okay, let's have you do this. Let's have you just do this little portion right here. It's so much easier. And it's like any customer coming to us as well. They're not going to bring us their biggest project right off the bat. They're going to start with something small, and they're going to hand us something small, and they're going to say, let's see how they do with this. And then we're going to graduate from there. So I get that end of it. On that end of it, for me, that's a safe way to go, to see, okay, let's see how we handled this first. Yeah. And then let's see if we want to dive deeper into it.
100%. I just made a note to myself. I'll send it to you after this. I created a agency report card.
Yeah.
And questions to ask when you're interviewing an agency.
Fantastic.
And so anybody who wants it, hit me up. I'll be glad to share it. I do a lot of consulting work on the side, and this is something I get asked all the time. And so it's not geared towards choosing us. I wish I could stack the deck like that. That would be so much easier for my job. It is truly unbiased, clear cut. It allows you to assess where you think your needs are, and then how to ask questions to get somebody who's going to do the job you need them to do. So I think it's important. And to your point, we built something that we call the BSU review for exactly that reason. You need to go to your doctor once a year for a physical. you need to do the same thing for your marketing. And so whether you're going to keep doing it in-house or you're leveraging multiple partners, having that head-to-toe assessment tells you where the dashboard metrics should be, how to evaluate what's working, right, not working, how to make sure you're not wasting money.
Right.
So spend a little to save a lot. It's always a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, Michael. I know I just cut you off, but I had to get the whole soapbox rant off my head because it just makes me crazy.
Yeah. It's the first time I've heard it.
I know. It's like brand new information to you.
Well, it's one of those things, like you just can't jump into industrial manufacturing on a whim. That's something you have to, like you said, you start in your garage, you have to build that up. That takes time, that takes expertise, craftsmanship, and dedication, and money, and a lot of things, right? I mean, it's not overnight. Marketing is a little different. You can jump into marketing overnight. You can say, hey, I know about marketing. And nowadays, everybody knows enough about it to get them in trouble. Everybody's on Facebook, everybody's on Instagram, everybody dabbles, they make their own videos and things like that, which is great because the bar is lowered for access. People can do their own things now, which is great as well. You don't need to go to an agency for everything, but having that guidance or that ability to weed through the clutter and find wherever you need. Because I mean, I don't know how many times a media person will show up somewhere and say, hey, I'm with this station and we have the best this. And, and we're going to do this for you and that for you. And somebody will sign on to this package and then they're tied to it. And they're like, you're only getting this piece of the audience because they never really talked about that, or the coverage or things like that. Same thing with SEO experts. Everybody's an SEO expert. And that's if they say, I generally doubt people that say that, because to say you're an expert in that means that you're not being totally honest, because it's changing so rapidly. You can say I'm very, very familiar with it and I can handle it today. But yeah, it's like, let me throw this at it. Let me throw that at it. And as soon as you start to figure it out, Google comes in and changes everything. They say, all right, we're changing all the rules because people are gaming the system. So we don't want you to game the system. So Facebook will change everything overnight, all the rules, all the algorithms, all the things. And so it's chasing after those things nowadays. And so, yeah, it's a battle. I definitely see the issues from a business owner side, and managing all that. I was looking through your social media too. It looks like y'all haven't really, I kind of gave up on that one, didn't you? It was
Michael, you're supposed to be nice to guests. That's one of the things I tell them.
No, they hadn't posted on some of them since like 24.
I wouldn't say that. I would say
Did that sound bad? I'm sorry. I didn't.
Well, it sounded bad.
It is. Here's the problem. I'm like, I don't care about that so much, and that's me. And that's not who we're talking to so much anymore.
That's what I meant to say. I meant to say you realize that wasn't where you need to spend your time and resources, so you moved on from it. That's what I meant to say.
Right. We, we'll throw a little something at it now and then. And it always surprises me when something gets some traction and I'm like, oh, somebody paid attention to that. Where I'm not out there paying as much attention to that. That's what helps with bringing some of those younger generation more eager to go, ooh, we need to update this. Ooh, we need to do this. This would be cool to do. It's always wonderful but it takes those people that you have around you to say, we want to do that, to grab onto that, because, or unless I bring those people in to specifically do those jobs. And, I don't know, for me, it's been, and then I go out there and I see what creative things people are doing with media. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. That looks like a lot of fun. And it isn't so much, I always feel like we're trying to connect technically with so many people that I don't really see the emotional side. But I think it's not a sense of, I shouldn't say emotional. We're not trying to connect with them so much emotionally to say, oh, here's the feel of Midwest machining. It's more a sense of trust. It's more a sense of dependability. It's more, we're skilled at what we do.
I would cut you off, Lisa. I would say the exact opposite. I think those are all emotional.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
They really are. Yeah.
I was going to say, in the end, I think that is the emotional side of things, because I don't necessarily think of, we're talking to engineers, and, I don't really think of them as looking more at the, what feel do I get from Midwest, as much as can they help me and assist me? I've got this big project. I have to put it in their hands, but it is that emotional connection with the dependability and the skill, and they have to put their trust in us to ensure that we're going to deliver on what they're needing, because they want to look good to their bosses.
Yeah, and I talk about that all the time because we use that language a lot. We talk about emotional connections, and B2B branding. I think a lot of people get sidetracked on that. They say, we're not emotional. Nobody's going to laugh. Nobody's going to cry, and it's not that kind of emotion. Like I said, the trust is a huge word. Especially in B2B world. Making sure that people can depend and rely on you is what you do. Can what you do make someone's lives better? Can it make it easier? Can they trust the fact that they're going to, like you said, look good to their people because they hired you? Is that a good choice? Is that going to help them enhance their career longevity and everything that goes with that? That kind of thing. Can you get the job done better and smarter? And all those are huge emotional tie-ins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I tend to still be in that mindset. Here's what we can do. Here's the skill set we bring, but it is you have to utilize that social media. You have to utilize that website and whatever tools you have to get that out there, because we make those connections every day. We make those personal and emotional connections with our customers and our vendors, and but nobody sees that beyond those people that we're face to face with. So that's what that's for, is putting it out there and showing everyone.
Well, it's like you said earlier too, though. You gotta have that plan in place, or that knowledge of what am I getting from this.
Right.
Hey, we're gonna run all these. It's all the time. I have a social media account. I'm gonna post 3 times a week, and I'm gonna follow this. And a year later, they have like one like, and nobody likes. And that kind of thing. And so if you go back on that and say, well, if we looked at our audience beforehand, we said, who's our decision makers? Well, they're not on Facebook. They're on LinkedIn. So that's where we should go, or that kind of thing, but it's understanding who you're talking to, and then understanding where they live and where they play, and how do we get into their heads. And so they're going to see things, like Jackie said, there was, I told a story the other day, but it was somebody wanted a billboard out in front of their office. I like that story, Jackie, but, and Jackie went back to them. She was a former media buyer, and still a media buyer, but that's where she started. And she said, nobody's going to see this. This is not the area, the people that you're trying to talk to, but he needed to see it. He needed to see his logo up on a billboard by his office. And so we bought it for him, and it was up on the highway. Did absolutely zero good for anything, but it made him feel good. I think social media does that too sometimes for people. They want to see it. They want to touch it and feel it. It's like, I can go to my social media page and see my ads. Look how what we're doing. Look, they just is a comfort level, but it may not be the best material use of time and resources,
Right. And I think typically that's why we've not gravitated towards that, because most of the people that we deal with go to the website. They go to the website first and foremost. They're the ones that are out there putting in hours, and doing the work. They're not necessarily on social media. They're not necessarily seeking maybe they are after hours at home, maybe, but not during the day. During the day, they're making things happen, so to speak. They're out there turning wrenches. They're out there on the floors of these shops. They're not, and you could probably argue that they are tuning into that. I don't feel that from my end, and I guess that's maybe why I haven't really gravitated towards that. I see those social media hits hitting other networking and other businesses, other different connections out there, not necessarily probably the people that are coming in our door, but I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong.
No, it's not that you're wrong. It's that social media is self-fulfilling prophecy. And so the people who believe in social media are able to use it as a tool that produces for them. And the people who don't believe in social media are not able to use it as a tool that produces for them. And there's no right or wrong here. And
Okay.
so I look at companies like Blendtec, who, 15 years ago started with a couple of little badly produced videos on YouTube and were able to grow their company exponentially. I mean, zero after zero after zero after zero. And that's because they found a tool that the new marketing director believed in and was able to use. And they found a hook in a way to use it that was unique and different. And then everybody that's followed, you don't get to build upon that success. You get a little less, a little less, a little less until somebody finds their own path in that's different. So much of the challenges with marketing, and we've all been talking about it, is there's so many different options and people just don't know what to do.
Right. Right.
And so whether they do something because it makes them feel good because they see themselves, I think Michael's right about that. Whether they avoid social media altogether because they don't think the people of their industry are into it, you're right about that. There's not right or wrong. It's what can work for this target audience with this message at this time. And the time is the important thing because it changes over time.
Right.
And so as we're looking at what it was like before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID, those were major shifts. I mean, this is a time frame that's going to be studied in history books for all of humanity because it was such a big deal. I mean, we still talk about the Spanish flu of the 1900s, and I don't think it had the same level of impact this did. And so we have to adapt and adjust to that. And when we look at what that means, it means really knowing your target audience. And, you and Michael, I thought the section where y'all were just talking about establishing that emotional connection in a non-emotional industry.
Yeah.
Yes, the emotion is safety, it's security, it's trust. It's knowing that if I give money to you, I won't lose my job. You're not going to make me look bad. That's the emotion. But what ends up happening is most people do something that is so categorically awful and they don't even know it. Knowing that they've got to establish that trust, they spend all of that mental real estate talking about themselves. We've been around for 25 years. We do these kinds of projects. We, me, I. Pick me, choose me, love me. And that never works. And so what ends up happening is the people who are able to take their features list, turn it into benefits, specifically an emotional connective message that's a little different, that's unique, that gets attention. That's the gold standard. That's the success.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my second soapbox rant for today.
Yeah, and I tend to feel like here we tend to stay within ourselves a little bit and not so much. I'm not always looking what's our competitor doing, and
Right.
and that's probably wrong on my part because I have a sense and a feel. It's a small world to us, in our city and in our state. So you kind of have a feel of what everybody's kind of doing. But as you said, that's changing so rapidly. And you feel like you're running alongside the train car and the train car's passing you up and you're not able to latch on,
Right.
and it's passing you by and you're going to be, stuck way back behind it. And so I do feel that is changing so quickly and changing so rapidly that I need to stop and focus. Hey, what is going on? What are our competitors doing? Who is our target audience and how should we be talking to them?
Yeah. I would tell you it's a two-pronger, and you're right on both points. The target audience, having those conversations, there is really nothing better for good marketing than a conversation with a customer. There's just nothing better. And so whether your marketing team makes it, because they're going to ask questions differently than the sales team. And so having somebody who's marketing focused talk to customers, and not just the customers you've had forever as to why you stay, but the customers you lost, why'd you go over there? The customers you won, why'd you come here? And this seems so obvious and basic, and yet the number of companies that don't do it with any sort of consistency would tell you it is not that obvious and it's not that basic.
Yeah.
And then the second thing that I think it's really important is what we call it's not competitors, because you don't want to look too long and hard at your competitors, because you don't want to copy them or mimic them or look and sound anything. You want to glance just to make sure they're not copying and mimicking you. You know,
Yes.
have they tried to catch up to our train, then you can't let them leapfrog over you. But we do this thing called model the masters. So we look for masters who are not competitors, not direct competitors. They're not in your geographic market. They're not in your industrial market. They're over here.
Right.
And man, they're so good at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we can use them as a benchmark, as an inspiration, that pays off big dividends.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Big dividends.
Yeah. 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 Makes sense.
I mean, we try. We try. At least for an hour. I try to make sense during this podcast every day, at least once.
Yeah. And, really, I look at it and go, okay, we don't have a department devoted to this. So we are going to make those mistakes. We are going to, we are going to probably move at a slower pace. But, hopefully we're doing what we need to right.
Look, slow and steady wins the race.
I was going to say.
Nobody can look at your success and tell you you're doing stuff wrong. So please don't shut that shit down right now. Yeah. And here's the thing. So many companies are in exactly the same spot. Founder built and led, have gotten to a certain level of success, running and gunning. And now it's like, okay, we stay here, which is totally fine.
Right.
Or we re-energize, reinvest, and level up. Bigger isn't better. There's no judgment on that. It's just, how do you maximize the opportunities when they come?
Right. And it's I've seen a lot of companies that are satisfied with where they're at and what they're doing.
Yeah.
But if I see a plateau, I'm like, okay, how do we break through?
That mountain.
We wanna climb a little bit higher, and we wanna break that. We don't want to level off. We want to break through that. And what gets us to that, and how do we get to that? And that's having those conversations of, like I said, tell me what we are doing right, because sometimes I look at it and go, we aren't doing anything. But somebody comes along and says, "Oh no, well, that encourages me."
You're doing the most important thing, which is you're doing your job right.
I was about to say, I mean, you guys are that's the hardest thing. We can come in and a lot of times this happens.
Lipstick, pig.
We'll have a brand assessment. We'll go through and assess all these things. We'll find all these problems after talking to their employees and their team and their customers, and we'll bring it back to them, and they're shocked. And they're like, either they're denial about it, or they didn't know it was coming. And they're like, okay, I had no idea that I was about to have a mutiny in my hands, or the fact that this was going on, or the fact that this part of my business I thought was great, wasn't, what I thought wasn't real. So again, that's the first part, right? I mean, when we go in and we find out that they are what they say they are, then our job's a lot easier. When you can only do so much, marketing's not going to save you,
Right. Yeah, we are a little too much in tune to everyone and everything that we're touching and in contact with. And sometimes I think we have a lot of very personal relationships with our customers and our vendors, and I think that bodes well for us in a sense that's why they are recommending us. That's why we have years-long relationships with people that on a very personal level that it matters. It matters a lot of times that has saved us from bankruptcy. They've looked at us and said, we want you priority, so there's been times when those very personal relationships have made a huge difference in our business. And so, I don't toss that to the side, but then again, you know, we don't tend to look outside of that much. You know, we're touching and talking to each and every person we come in contact with, but beyond that, how do we spread that?
Yeah, and I would say congratulations on that though, because in all sincerity, it's a lot of times when we go in, we do this assessment, we end up being more therapists than marketers,
Yeah.
because we're dealing
Yeah.
with a company that grew really big sometimes, and they did not pay attention to those details, and it got away from them, and they
Yeah.
didn't understand, you know, the how to continually to build those leadership funnels and to grow people, to keep people happy internally. And so we're dealing with corporate culture that is
Yeah.
sometimes in a disarray. So, you know, having that locked down is just, it's so important, you know, like I said. So congratulations on that. And I think, you know, being that y'all are still involved, I also understand how hard that is. How
Yeah.
difficult it is to spend that kind of time and energy and the emotional
It
toll it
is.
takes on you. As Jack and I both understand that too. It's like, it's a lot, you know, it's a lot.
It is. It is a lot. As I've always said over the years, it's rewarding, because I feel like the lives that we affect make it. That's what makes it worthwhile. To see people. I always feel like it's my job to see what makes people tick, and to utilize that, because nothing is more satisfying to people to doing, you know, to finding their niche and what they love to do, and what they, and once we find that and we're able to promote that, and we're able to help them grow in that area, fantastic. The rest of it just comes. You know, as long as we're busy, we're steady, we're keeping the flow of work going. But then again, I look at it and go, yeah, you know, slow and steady does win the race, but it's also nice to grow that and bring more people into that fold, and to not only the more we grow, the more they grow, the more they gain from that as well. So it is rewarding. It is tiring. It is a lot of therapy hours, a lot of, you know, a lot of that. But, you know, so you can see where my focus has been over the years, to where marketing has kind of taken a, you know, social media has kind of taken a sidebar. So, but yeah, there's something to be said for those. You know, I'm envious of those companies that are thousands of employees and they still maintain that. That has to be extremely difficult.
Mhm.
On our level, to me, it feels easier when you're under 50 people. It's a little bit easier to kind of, you know, keep all those personal connections. But boy, when I see companies that, you know, kind of grow from, you know, a one owner type situation, and they have that culture, and they've maintained that culture, and you know, that is you know, to me, such a goal to attain.
Have you heard of 21 Hats?
I have not.
Highly recommend. Write it down.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
It
Lisa would be
is.
great for that.
Oh, I know. So 21 Hats was started by Lauren Feldman, who is a small business editor for the New York Times and Inc. magazine, who's a part of the Inc. 5000, Small Giants. So super involved in the entrepreneurial landscape. I found Lauren and 21 Hats right at the beginning of COVID and saved us, because he knew about things the SBA was doing before my banker or my Goldman Sachs 10,000 group that I was with at the time knew. I mean, so
Okay.
he's tapped in, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a daily email, like
Mm-hmm.
the morning report, that is awesome, and tons of I mean, especially with the industry you're in and the effects of tariffs and all this stuff. He
Yeah.
just has his hand on the pulse of what's happening and knows the news before anybody else. So that's one. There
Okay.
is a founding members mastermind that, there's a weekly podcast. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm a guest on that pretty regularly. And it's this, you know, we're all just talking about
Yeah.
entrepreneurs and running businesses with family and succession plans and ESOPs and how do you deal with 1,000 employees, how to deal with 10 employees. So that conversation I just think is fascinating. So that's the weekly podcast. The monthly mastermind, about 30 or 40 of us get on a Zoom together, and he'll bring in a guest and we'll just talk about the challenges of the day. And sometimes the guest has solutions. It's kind of awesome. And then there's an annual conference next year, middle of May in Cincinnati.
Okay.
And it's this. I go to 2 conferences a year that are written in stone in my calendar. This is one, and the other one's a conference I do on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship. So you can tell my level of commitment to education and vacation. What I love about his is he keeps it small, 25, 30 entrepreneurs in the room at a time. And we get together on the first session of the first day and we tell our challenges. Like everybody just rattling off AI, marketing, finance, cash flow, whatever. And then we vote them up or down. And then the ones that we vote up, that's our agenda for the 2 days we're together.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
And so we solve our own challenges and talk through issues with other, so it's peer to peer, but there's kind of experts he brings in and it's just awesome. So highly recommend.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I'd love that. Yeah.
Well, you're living it.
What's that?
I said, you're living it. It's the 20, the hats we wear all day. You're a little bit of HR, you're a little bit of the run the company, you're a little bit of marketing. I mean, that's the challenge.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm always looking for creative ways to, our shop is more, machining, I think in general is more of an individual sport, I call it. And they tend to all be out for themselves and focus. And I get that. That's human nature as well. I mean, I can't get away from that as much, but gosh, I'm always trying to figure out ways to bring them together and root for each other. And so, so I love that. I love that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, we have some of the same challenges, graphic designers, copywriters, they work in a little space with headphones on, dark lights, don't talk to me. And so we do regular professional development sessions. We bring in people for team building, culture building, communication, because we need them to be individuals, sure, but to think as a team too.
Sure. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to bring these guys together.
And we love it. We love professional development.
Michael does not love professional development, but that's okay. I love it enough for both of us.
Well, I've learned to like it, though. We have some really great people we work with, and I definitely see the benefits of it. Once I'm there, I'm fine. It's just getting there.
I was going to say it takes a lot for some of the buy-in to some of the kumbaya kind of stuff with our guys as well. They're like, they're like, what do we got to do? Why do we got to do this?
You're right. Michael. And it's all about the people, though, because we have one person that comes regularly. She's like our business coach. And we offer her for our team to go meet with her individually if they want. We pay for it, that kind of thing. And not therapy, but like business. Like, how do I deal with my day-to-day stuff? And coaching. And but there's other people that come in and they just don't jive with me as much. And because I think I like the way she approaches it. It's not that kumbaya kind of feel. And that, again, I know that's important. I know it reaches certain people. It just doesn't reach me. It's just, I don't want to get into that. But she does it in a way that it's like a game. She'll throw a game out there where you're trying to do a challenge. And all of a sudden you realize you learned something in the process. And I love that, spoonful of sugar, She kind of does it in a more sneaky manner. Yes,
very
absolutely. Absolutely. So I go there not wanting, and I leave there going, man, that was really cool. So.
Yeah. You're like, I actually did learn something from that. Yeah.
Those of you listening, her name's Melissa Bowen, and she's with the Authenticity Center, and she's very good at what she does. Hit me up. I'll give you contact information.
Awesome.
Yeah. Right. That's who I do the summit with. We do this women's summit at sea every September. Okay. And it's, 30 women on a Royal Caribbean ship in sessions. We're learning stuff, but there's also karaoke and people make food for us. So it's like a perfect day.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Lisa, you were delightful and awesome and perfect. And this was so great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the conversation. I really enjoy it. And I love having your perspective, and I appreciate all of it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you sharing your time. And for those of you listening, thank you for spending the whole hour with us. We have a 90% rate of people listening all the way to the end, and I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Michael doesn't believe it, so sometimes he puts in like special words at the end to see if anybody notices. But I believe the stats. So I appreciate y'all sticking around, and make sure you subscribe and come back for the next episode.
What am I to do when the day